Hello, everybody. My name is Todd Nilsson. I'm one of the volunteers involved with the Catalyzing the Future event that is coming up on the 30th of September, just a little later on this month. And this is the event diary where I spent some time talking about sort of the planning and the roll up to the event, and hopefully have some guests on the show as well, and talk a little bit about sort of our intent with this event. I have with me today, I'm going to be introducing you to the channel in just a moment, Mr. Si Alhir, a dear friend of nearly 20 years. Hard to believe it's been that long. A very warm, very human guy who has really been a mentor and a thought leader, for me over all that time. And really, this event came out of, I think, a lot of conversations he had. We're going to learn a little bit more about that in this particular video stream, and hopefully get you a little excited about what's going to be coming up in the not very distant future here. So I'm going to welcome Si into the stream here now. Si, welcome to the event diary.
Thank you so much. And sentiments completely mutual over our history. I have had the fortune of learning much from you, my good man, and always appreciate it. So thank you for the warm welcome all around.
Well, I'm really glad. I mean, just by way of background and history, I was involved with the last event, Transcending the Crisis, that you did, but that wasn't actually even the first event that was created in response to the global pandemic and crisis that we've been dealing with right now. Could you maybe give us a little bit of context or history around how we arrived at catalyzing the future?
Definitely. All around. When COVID hit the States here in particular at the end of February, I was working with MicroStrategies at the time, and we started to do webinars. And when the opportunity came up, an invitation for me to do a webinar, I said, rather than listening to myself talk, I'd rather invite folks into the conversation. And from what was happening all around us and all over the world, from what we would scan, the themes began to emerge, the pieces really began to manifest, and I started to give it language. And as I shared that language exactly as you and I began to have conversations and others, it resonated. And that turned into the May 8th event, which then, of course, progressed to June. And here we are today. So it's been a quick but interesting journey.
Yeah, well, and I think what I really appreciated about it is that the last event that I was involved with as a panelist, it really was astounding just how this was. These events were qualitatively different than anything else that was going on out in the marketplace right now. Just the level of conversation, the caliber of the people that have been involved with those conversations, the thought leadership that's there. And then, I mean, it's really sort of like bringing an all-star team of people together that have all kinds of different amazing ideas, and really just kind of melting all these things together to see what comes out of it by way of insight.
Yeah. I really appreciate that, because that's kind of some of the feedback, Todd, that we've received is the diversity of perspectives. And, very openly, there's two other sort of groups that manifested, especially relative to the first event and as it went forward. One was people from around the world that did want to be included, but respectfully, I filtered them out intentionally, because what I experienced is they were taking the same old messages and refurbishing them and trying to resell them versus truly being authentic to the moment. So that was one group. And there were a number of people that actually said, "What are you going to pay me to show up?" And I said, "Well, to be honest, I'm not interested in paying you. If you don't want to contribute, that's perfectly fine. I respect it. But that's not what this is about." So definitely two different groups that did manifest and get filtered out.
Well, I can appreciate that. Somebody who's run some other free events, in my past history, I find it incredibly important, to be able to help those who are in need and not charge them for that piece of it. There are certainly corporate partners and sponsors and people that will underwrite, events, or something like this. But this was built, and I think the previous events were all built with budget zero, right?
Yeah.
And it was set up as a labor of love and something that was intended to help everybody think a little bit better about the world. And so it becomes a little tough to like if you're trying, as someone from a marketing perspective and some of my background, to wrap my head around, like, well, who's it for? Well, it's for everybody, kind of.
Yeah.
We're trying to do something that's going to be certainly valuable, to the business community, but it's for anybody that's trying to figure out a way, like, how do we get past crisis? How does my family get past crisis? So it's personal and professional at the same time. And so I like the broad appeal of that, and I like that. That it's set up in such a way that we're not charging for this. This is free. However, there is a charge element of this next event, but that's for organizations that want to, or professionals who want to forward the ideas that they got during the event and turn them into some kind of practical, actionable outcome, right?
Most definitely. When we look at the history of it, exactly to your point, and how it's manifested, we were very interested in perspectives, insights, if you will, and guidance. And now with the micro workshops that we are advancing, it's an opportunity to really take those perspectives, those insights, and the guidance, and translate it into very, very actionable techniques, habits, immediately impactful tools, and techniques that people can put into play. And in terms of 90-minute sort of micro workshop segments, make it really, really digestible. That can be toward a broader program that can be offered by folks out there.
Okay. And so, to be clear, somebody can come and participate in the event and decide, oh, you know what, the micro workshops aren't for me. I'm great with the insights that I got from this event. I'm going to apply them myself. But the idea behind the micro workshop is, if you are looking for some rubber meets the road kinds of practical ways to implement these things, we are going to be offering these as and like a number of the contributors to the event are going to be offering these as a follow-up to the event sometime in, what are we thinking, like November,
December timeframe. Yeah. Definitely. And it truly does give people, the big driver has been community all around, exactly as we're talking about. And, I show up at the free event, right? I get a chance to really experience from a periphery who Todd is, right? How Todd is behaving, how Todd is expressing himself, engaging on a panel and what have you in the conversation. And then I say, well, something, I really want to have a more direct connection with Todd and leverage some of, especially the things that he's offering and suggesting, and how can he help me really put that into practice. That would translate into the micro workshop. So there's a degree, if I use the word respectively, a degree of intimacy that can be experienced from afar and then made much more real in the micro workshop as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the other element of that I really appreciate is that it makes it not just a single threaded event. It's a series of ongoing conversations, which the continuum of those conversations began with your very first event. Yeah. And now we're on event number 3, and there's a follow-up to that. So it feels to me sort of like an evolution into a multi-celled organism at this point. Yes. It's an expansion of the conversation, but it's also an application of the ideas that are obtained there.
Most definitely. And and exactly to your point, Todd, where it leads, there isn't a master plan that anyone has, and I honestly think a number of folks actually thought there was when they first engaged it, and they quickly realized, no, we're actually going to let this unfold the way it needs to. I think even to that point specifically, even people from the first event and the second one, they were looking for, is there more structure? And you and I have known each other for some time. The most quintessential structure, and then let the rest of it really unfold and emerge, because it's authentic, it's real. And I have been very, very deliberate, if you will, in the invitation and the outreach. I mean, these are people that I've respected for numerous years, and it's not, hey, just happenstantially, sort of reaching out to folks.
Yeah, and I'll say from my perspective, because I've jumped in on this one and am trying to help with some of the communications and outreach around it, I've had the opportunity to speak to some of these individuals on a one-on-one basis, and there are some truly amazing people that you've got lined up for this that are doing some things that I'd never heard of before. It's like just even in recent memories, like guys like Alok Sinha talking about business outcomes being connected to space time and action. Amazing guy. Another gentleman, is it Barry O'Reilly, who does resilience theory or residual theory?
Residual. Yep.
Yeah. Just like if things, and I consider myself pretty well read and staying up to date on a lot of things, but there's some things that are just mind-blowingly interesting. Just even if it was a single speaker at the event on their own, and then again some of our individual keynote speakers who are coming up, just some amazing insights that those people are going to have. I'm looking forward personally to the discussion with Michelle Wucker around the Gray Rhino and all the work that she's doing there too. So again, grateful to be a part of this event, and just wanted a chance to hear you in your own voice talking about the event and what's coming up.
Oh, I definitely appreciate it, Todd, all around, and definitively the speakers, and Michelle's actually been since the beginning. She's been at all of the events. She is the continuous thread at this juncture, and where the future goes, we'll figure out together. But truly tremendous individuals, and I had not met all of these folks before, so definitely I've gotten a chance to meet new folks. Like Alok and I more recently met, and have been able to really advance the relationship and learn more about each other and what's possible. So, and by all means, thanks to you and others who are contributing, because without you and without the team bringing this forward, it by no stretch could I do this alone. So it is truly a synergy all around.
These kinds of events always take a group of dedicated volunteers who see the value in convening those conversations, and certainly business value comes out of these for us because we get to meet other people, we get exposed to new ideas. It's professional development. Sometimes business arrangements come about from these kinds of meetings, but importantly, it's a matter of feeding each other, and giving ourselves ideas and inspiration, and especially at a time as difficult as this, when there are multiple crises that are interlaced with each other. Having that time is so important. So, so thanks for starting the conversations, Si, and I'm really looking forward to being involved with this on the 30th as well.
Thank you, my friend. And I'll tell you the question that in many ways, if I look at the quintessential question that spawned a lot of this, and that continues to manifest in one form or another, is fundamentally, as we go through crisis, what feeds your soul that will help you get through the crisis in the best way possible? And if we ponder that, I think we're forced to confront a lot about ourselves. That's
an amazing and profound question that I don't have a top of my head answer for.
It's one to ponder. Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Because it's complex on a variety of different levels. Well, Si, thanks for joining me for this. I'm hoping you can maybe jump in on a couple more of these as we develop the event together. And in true Agile fashion, we are being opportunistic, finding a time to broadcast about it and be transparent about the work that we're trying to do and put forward here into the broader global community. So thanks again for being a part of this. And if you have not already, please go ahead and visit catalyzingthefuture.com, where you can readily register for the event just by clicking on the handy link at the top of the screen when you go to the website. And we're going to have a number of really interesting guests and events coming up. We have another video series that's called Catalyzing Conversations. And we're going to have some other colleagues, volunteers, Cyprian and Miguel, who are going to be some of the hosts for that. I may jump in on a few, Si may jump in on a few, to interview some of the upcoming panelists and guests on the day of that are going to be on the day of the event. But we'll have some previews of those discussions and get a chance to highlight some people that maybe aren't going to be able to get to the discussion as well. So please stay tuned for that. In the meantime, Si, thanks again for joining me. And I think we're about ready to sign off here.
Thank you, my friend, and thanks to everyone.
All right. Stay tuned for more updates from Catalyzing the Future.